So now I'm going to go over some of the things that I put down on my vocabulary chart. Some of you might have other words that were unfamiliar, but here are some words that may have been unfamiliar. Exhibition. The definition of that is demonstration, a public showing of something. And here I chose a picture of a little boy who's reaching out to pet a snake that someone at a fair or at a zoo has for people to look at. That would be in an exhibition. The next one is difference. The definition of that is the condition of not being the same. And I chose a picture, if you can see it. If you don't mind, can you zoom in on that, please? I have a picture of someone who has yes, yes, yes on their brain, and someone who is different than that person, and that person has no, no, no. So they're different. They have a difference and they're disagreeing. The next one is ranked. The definition of that is to hold a certain position. And I have an example here of 3 blocks. The first one has the top position, and the 2 and the 3 have the bottom position. So that would help me remember the word ranked. The last one is victory. The definition of that is success in a game. And I have an example of a man who's running through the finish line, and the finish line is breaking. So thank you for doing your best on that. Now we're going to go back up here, now that you did your unfamiliar vocabulary words, and we're going to discuss the meaning of this text. So let's take a closer look at the text. And we're going to read pages 46 and 47 again, and then we'll discuss its meaning. Our family was complete 2 years later when my brother David was born on November 14th, 1952. Luckily, Dad was in New York. He'd been at the hospital for the births of Jackie and me, and didn't plan to miss the birth of his 3rd child either. After the Dodgers lost to the Cardinals, Dad rushed back from Ebbets Field to Doctor's Hospital in time for David's birth. Mom got sick and couldn't go home from the hospital with David. A family friend, Willette Bailey, came to stay with us at this point. She planned to stay until my mother was well, but ended up living with us until my brothers and I were out of the house. Each March, we traveled with Mom to Florida for spring training and the exhibition games. And remember, exhibition was one of our vocabulary words. And that is demonstration, a public showing of something. So, since Jim Crow laws were still in effect, we stayed in a motel in the Black community while the other Dodgers families stayed in a luxurious beach hotel across town. I was too young to know the difference, but my parents resented being treated differently. Eventually, the Dodgers bought their own facility in Vero Beach, where Black players and white players and their families stayed together. Okay, so now I want you to look at your chart right here. And we're going to fill in this part together. Discuss the meaning. So let's look right here. So the main points in that is that Jackie's third child was born, and his family traveled with him for spring training. Now we're going to read pages 48 and 49. And we'll take a brief break in between that, and you can fill in the meaning of page 48 and 49. By the time I was 5, Dad had been playing with the Brooklyn Dodgers for 10 years. During that time, he'd helped the team reach the World Series 6 times. In 1949, he led the league in batting with a .342 average and received the National League's Most Valuable Player award. From 1947 to 1953, Dad ranked 4th in the majors in batting average, .319, 2nd in runs scored, 773, and 1st in stolen bases, 166. Of his nearly 5,000 career at-bats, 51% were from the cleanup slot. In 1955, Brooklyn Dodgers had the best season after yearly disappointments of losing the World Championship to the New York Yankees. The Dodgers and my dad won the World Series. Wait till next year. Their annual mantra finally meant victory. And here's a picture of how excited they are. It's the first and only World Championship. Okay, now I'd like you to take a moment to look and see if you can find the meaning, the main point in these 2 pages that we just read.